Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome everyone back to Answers for Elders Radio Network. On behalf of Humana and the Vitality Revolution, we are very honored to have back with us Lori Hudson from, now I want to make sure it's right. It's ljhudsoninsurance.com.
That is correct. It's Hudson Insurance Solutions.com.
Solutions.com. Hudson Insurance. There we go, .com. And Lori, you have been so amazing through this process. We've been talking about the foundational principles of wellness, and we started in June, and we've been going through the different sorts of aspects of wellness. And I love just a little plug for Humana. They represent themselves as a quote unquote wellness company. They're very much involved in the total picture of health. And I know you, coming from that environment and now being an independent agent, you work with seniors all the time about their full, wellness, picture. Is that correct?
That is correct. And it's so nice to be here again. I love it. And I love talking about our senior community. And I've been at this for 21 years. And
yeah.
So when I first started, I was early 40s. Everybody seems so old. And now I'll be on Medicare next year. So
well, there you go.
I'm working
You're just
with,
right on my tail, my friend.
I'm working with
high school. You look a lot younger than me, though.
I'm working with high school classmates now. So we were kind of joking about life and where we are. So yeah, it's been
that's
a great
wonderful
journey.
Yeah. So we've been talking. I love the topics you bring up because these are topics that people aren't necessarily talking about so much. And I love the uniqueness of everything. And I think as we've gone through this process, we're now in August, the month of August, and we're talking about spiritual and intellectual wellness. So this 4-part series will have 2 about spiritual wellness and 2 about intellectual wellness. And I'm going to start off with one of the crib notes that you sent me, which I am totally about, and that is living with an attitude of gratitude. And I love that you brought that up. I think that's something that we don't seem to think about all the time, is how can we be grateful for every experience? And why is that a spiritual part of spiritual wellness, Lori?
Well, I think especially in these times we're living in now, and we're just bombarded with the news cycle, and, you can really go down rabbit holes, and, you can really look for some things to get depressed or down about. It's happening a lot, and, with our youth, but also with our seniors, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like it is so tied into our spirituality. And I think that there's strategies to really live that, like you said, attitude of gratitude, and find something to be grateful for no matter where we are.
Yeah. I remember there's a movie out, and of course I've read a lot of talking about living each day with gratitude, and it helps you get what you want. It's called The Secret, right? And we probably heard about The Secret and all these things. And I am a very strong proponent of that. It's knowing that you're always provided for. You have this connection of, I know that I am, extension of something that's greater than me. And the more and more that I express my gratitude for that, it comes back tenfold. What are your experiences with that?
Well, I think, too, if you look at, no matter what religion you are, if you look at the Bible, it says, and I haven't memorized the Bible, but it says one place about your faith will be done unto you. So it has to do with, having that faith. And I think every religion, it is really important to have that faith. And that's really what faith is all about, is believing that we're going to be taken care of, not worrying about the future. And again, the Bible talks about the birds they're not concerned about where their next meal is coming from. We should just live that way as much as we can. And, I think, again, with these times we're living in, I think we have to implement some strategies to stay on track with that.
Well, and I think one of the things, we had Reverend Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis on last week, and one of the things she talks about, the parables in the Bible of manna from heaven. It's like we are given parables in the Bible always, that we are blessed, that we have everything that we need in. And this is the thing, I think that part of it is being open to that, but it's also being grateful for what you have. And I think that's one of the things, like, I'm so grateful for you. When I think about my aging time and going through trying to navigate Medicare, which is so incredibly confusing. We get all these bombarded with emails and with cards in the mail and urgent and all these things that they look like they're from the government and they're not, and all this craziness. And you really don't know what to do. And the laws change, like what you've talked about a lot. Things are different every year. They always, sometimes they're better and sometimes they're not so better. And we don't necessarily know about all the nuances of Medicare. And if it wasn't for you, I would be lost. And here I am in the know of the senior world, So it's people like you that, first of all, I want to say thank you for all you do. And I don't know if enough of us say that very much, of the people like you that help us through that process.
I appreciate that. And I know you do so much for our senior community and everything that you do. So I feel
well, it's all about giving back, and it's all about, being grateful for the situations we're in, right? So when you talk about practicing gratitude, what are some ways people can do that?
I think one of the best ways is just to get in the habit of looking for those things and, having a gratitude journal. And so there's a, and I don't know where I heard it now, but trying to think of the initials, but every morning you get up and you do what you're grateful for, what your intention is, and then what you're going to let go of just into the universe. And so if you just get in that habit, so the first thing is 5 things that you're grateful for. And sometimes, it could be the same thing you were grateful for yesterday. Sometimes something different, or it could be just the tiniest thing, and especially if we're going through a hard time, it could be you're grateful that you have a comfortable bed to sleep in, or, it could be just smallest things. And then what that does is, once you get your mind going, and this has worked for me, once you get your mind focused on that, then you start recognizing, and then it opens up to all these things that you just take for granted or haven't noticed. And I think that's really good. And then setting your intention for the day. What's my intention? And then, what are you going to let go of?
So it just brings me back to I had an aunt that used to, I spent a lot of time with, and she would talk about look for the diamonds in life. And it was like, what does that mean? Well, a diamond looks like nothing when it's mined, but it's through the friction and the tuning of the diamond that it gets beautiful. And that's the point that she was trying to make with me. It's like everything in life is an opportunity to have a diamond, to have an experience of a positive way. And I think that's the thing. I think that when we look at how we can remember these things, when you go to bed at night, I have a card that I give when I do my caregiver workshops of look for the diamonds. And I've got specific caregiver questions to people. What did you learn today? What is something that you learned today? How often did you learn a story that you hadn't seen before? So when you think about those things, these are things to be grateful for. And sometimes in the moment when you're a caregiver, certainly, you don't have the things that you're grateful for. You're feeling stressed, you're feeling overwhelmed, something like that. And I think one of the things that, Lori, you're bringing forward is to try to reframe that in your life of what, ask yourself the right types of questions. A gratitude journal is a great way to do it. What other ways?
Well, I think also just getting in the habit of expressing that, and I really appreciate you expressing your gratitude for me. And I feel the same way about you. And I think sometimes, we're thinking these things in our heads, but we're not expressing it. So I think getting in that habit of saying that to people. And, sometimes you might say something that seems so small, but it really makes the other person's day, really. And then that in turn, that uplifts us.
I think one of the things here on your list I really want to talk about is volunteer and give back. How does that relate to gratitude?
Well, I think getting outside of ourselves, it just makes such a difference to not dwell on, what's going on in our lives. And it just brings you outside of yourself. And then it's such a great feeling when you can help somebody else. And, like I said, it could be something really small, just paying compliments or, volunteer work, really making a difference for someone. And that makes us feel good.
Absolutely.
Makes the other person feel good, but it also really makes us feel good to do that.
Yeah. And I'm looking here at your list. By the way, I want to post this list on our website. I think this is an important way of talking about gratitude. And one of the things you've got in here that I think is really interesting is staying present. We're not present a lot of time in our everyday life, are we? We're in the future. We're thinking about, tomorrow, what we have to take care of, but we're not present in the moment when we're speaking with people. What is your concept of that? And how can you help us be more mindful of being present?
Well, and I think, again, with all of the media that's coming at us, it's such an easy habit to just pick up our phone, start looking, start scrolling. But I think, again, just getting in some habits. All of this, or a lot of this, has to do with just getting in some habits. And there's an author, Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you've ever read his books, but he talks about just going out and looking at things like you've never seen them before, just looking at a leaf, looking at a flower. And if you set time aside to get in those habits, then that just helps, I think, just to be present. And I think the volunteer work that we talked about, I think that can, bringing it outside of ourselves, can help us be present in that moment.
Absolutely.
We're serving someone else.
Can
really be helpful for that too.
Well, Lori, you have 15 tips on how to practice gratitude. And we're going to make sure that we put this up on our website so that those that are interested on those tips, how can you say thankful? How can you be grateful? And I am so glad we had this conversation. So thank you again, Lori. And Lori and we're going to be back in the next podcast. We're going to be talking about relationships, spiritual wellness after this. We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.